books are marvelous. You can read something that is meant to be going extremely slowly, but you can read it quickly. But now, not so hasty, and you've lost the audience. How the heck do you get that sense of time? And what does a bloody walking tree? I am no tree, I am an ant. What does he sound like? Well, you've got age, and you've got... I thought we would try different registers. We recorded quickly and then slowed it down to make it sound like a whale talking. We tried everything. And I have to say, I still wake up at night in a cold sweat thinking, I've got to do that, and I don't know how to do it. In the end, you just have to compromise, and you make him a rather splendid old tree, really. I love the woods, and I love those little mice running over my toes, and the birds coming and telling me what they're up to in the trees. And that was the compromise, which many people like, but it's a compromise, and I had this problem. I went and did a talk show in New York with a guy who was a great fan of Lord of the Rings. And he said, look, I've got 2 or 3 friends of mine who are real scholars of Tolkien, and they will advise you. He came back to me and he said, okay, he said, well, we've had one answer. He said, this friend of mine, who is a Tolkien scholar, he says, there is only one actor in the world that can play this part. At which point I was sort of off my chest out a little bit. James Earl Jones.
Thank you.
I told James that. He said, well, he's probably right. I thank you for the question. It is the hardest part. It's the part I feel I've most completely failed in, and I don't know how to do it. I still think about it. Every actor should learn from his experience. My experience is I still don't know how to do it.
Switching gears to the Indiana Jones franchise, one of my favorite scenes from The Last Crusade is the run scene with Marcus Brody where you punch someone through a newspaper. I was wondering what your favorite scene was to film from any of the Indiana Jones movies and what it was like to reprise the character for the 2023 film.
Well, I'll deal with the last bit first. I got asked to do it, and I said, what do you mean? The part isn't good enough. It will cheat the audience. And they came back and they said, oh, no, we're going to build more parts. And I said, no, you're not. No, you're not. And then they showed me some new scenes. And I said, well, it's still too small, but... And of course you've got your manager and everybody else saying, you've got to be in the last Indiana Jones film. So I said, all right, but but let's make sure that these, we're doing this. The moment I signed the contract, those scenes vanished, of course, which I think is a bit of a shame, because there's something real about the relationship of Sallah and Marion with Indiana, and I'm not sure that the last film really has a depth of feeling between the characters. I mean, it's just my jealousy, envy, and prejudice, I suppose, but it does seem to me that at the great point of making a trilogy is you watch these characters over the years and how they've changed and developed, but the fact that the core relationship is still there. And I think it's partly borne out by the fact it's not been the big hit that everyone was expecting it to be. in a year that actually has got some big hits. But I think the big films of the year are a little bit flawed as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Barbie, I saw, it really sounds just like an advert for the manufacturing company, to me at least. The Atom Bomb film is, again, it doesn't really get to the core of that intellectual excitement as far as I'm concerned. And that lovely man who's just done that thing on Bernstein, or Bernstein, isn't it really? That film seems to be modeled as well in its thinking. I mean, he's a monster, but then we can make good films about monsters. But using the Mahler at the end of it, oh, what a mistake. Mahler could never work out when his symphony had ended, so he kept adding ends to it. You come to the climax of the end of the resurrection, and then there's another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then they try to bundle them all up in one bigger one, and then that's not enough, so you do a bigger one. I'm not a Mahler fan, really. Actually, that's not really true. He's marvelous, but I can be mean and spiteful along with the rest. Okay, we've actually gone 2 minutes over, but are they besieging us backstage? Are they telling us get off quick? No, see, all right, now the question.
Watching you in so many films where your voice is still yours, but it also has the character. And having had so many of my students struggle with that, I was just wondering what your approach was to making sure that you sound like you, but also a character at the same time, because I think it's an incredible skill. I
grew up in the age of radio. If you wanted to pretend to be an American, you listened to English actors pretending to be Americans, and you did it like that, or you really got into guys and dolls, and we listened. And it is listening and repetition that gives you the vocal variety that you need. So there is that, and more than that, I worked on the stage, and the stage is a wonderfully demanding thing. But you see, we didn't have microphones in our day.
So I still believe that I can be heard clearly at the back of the theatre.
They come to drag me away, Listen, you've been a wonderful audience.